Welcome to the Gen Z Journey, where we work with you through an entrepreneurial lens to build a wholesome perspective on life and build both our business and personal dreams together. Join our community on Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn at Gen Z Journey. So, hello and welcome to another Gen Z Journey podcast. You're joined here today by myself presenting and by Joe, or Xin if you know him in the music industry. I'll get him to introduce himself, a short introduction in 1 minute. But like I always say at the start of these podcasts, we love to do these just so that you get to know our guests super intimately, get to know who they are, know what they're working on, know where they're going, and really get behind them in the projects that they're working on. Because we bring them on because we're really excited about where they're going, and we want to get you excited about it as well. So we really hope you enjoy today's podcast. I'm just super excited to talk to you. But yeah, let's take things away with a short introduction of yourself and just who you are.
So I am Joe, like you said. Basically, just make music, and that's like whenever anyone really asks what I do, why is Xin? What is Xin? It's just music. Make music in my bedroom. It's what I've been doing for like 2 years. And yeah, just improving on that and putting it out there. Started doing some other little bits and bobs like gigs and charity events and stuff, but mainly just making music that's like relatable and good to listen to, I hope. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, you can tell the tone of this podcast already. He's so humble, which I just love. I think it's just an amazing quality to have, but he's so humble and his music is incredible. We'll bring up where you can find him and stuff in a little bit as we get onto it, but just go and check his stuff out. All the links will be in the descriptions of whether you're watching this on YouTube or you're on the Apple podcast or whatever. The links will be in description, so you can go and find him straight away. I've been, ever since I was introduced to you, I've been listening to his music. I've been showing my friends, and everybody's been digging it. Everyone's got to check it out. It's just a must. It just has to happen. But yeah, let's get straight into things then. Let's get into your background of who you are, and kind of how you got to where you are today. So take us through a little kind of summary of your life so far, of like kind of where you are and how you got there.
Well, like from day one, I was 24th of April 2002. That's when I'm born. So I'm 18. Just like 18 turning April. And what, like, do you want me to talk about like my music side of things and like the journey with the music and like since like what sort of inspired me, I guess?
Yeah, let's first dig into a little kind of, just give an overview of like, okay, you went to school, you went to college, and then where you went from there, and then we'll dig into the music side of things.
Yeah, so well, I live in a not small town, but a town right in between Nottingham and Derby called Long Eaton. When I was a kid, I went to Sawley Junior School and like go on below. I forgot what it's called. Junior and primary school. Yeah, Sawley. I'm forgetting what it's called then. Then obviously, and then I went to Long Eaton School. During school, I was quite outgoing, but I was also a little bit annoying. I was like that kid that got on with everyone, but could also be a bit annoying. I wasn't nowhere near popular. I was just sort of friends with nice people. I've always surrounded myself with nice people during school, and they're still like my closest friends. And then through school, it was just that same old story. It was like, oh yeah, I wasn't popular. I was just myself. I was just being me, blah blah blah, and just sort of got through it, which I did, and I got my grades. And then more recently, I didn't know what I wanted to do basically, so I was like, right, I just go to sixth form. I'll just do my A levels, but that didn't work out. I did about 6 or 7 months at sixth form.
What doing what subjects?
Maths, physics, and psychology. Did that for 6 months. I was in a bit of a low place, like mentally at the time, because I didn't know what to do, and just the environment at school. Because all of my friends left to go to a different college, so my environment changed drastically with who I was surrounding myself with, and that. And there's a lot of people from sixth form that I really like, but there's some people that I didn't like that much, or was just a little bit, just not my crowd basically, and I just didn't get along with it, and that sort of didn't help with like work and stuff. Instead of like doing my 3 lessons, going home and revising, I was doing my 3 lessons, going home, watching Netflix, like eating junk food and just doing what I wanted basically. So I fell behind really quickly at school. So I made the decision to drop out. So yeah, your classic dropout story, but I was so like determined not to be a dropout in the sense where you drop out and do nothing. So straight away, me and my mum were on apprenticeship applications, banged out quite a few of them. My first interview I got a software development apprenticeship, which has been awesome. And I've been doing that pretty much ever since. So that's where I'm up to in just my general life. So yeah.
That's amazing. I love it's very true. You're like, when you're talking about your classic dropout story, it's not classic in any way, but I love and I think you're definitely right in terms of there's a decision that people come to when it's like, okay, it is right for me to drop out, right? You know, you want to pursue something else, but it's really key. There's two types of people that drop out and then they struggle, or they can't find anything or can't find a passion. And there's the people that, no, I'm going to drop out and I'm going to find fulfillment and I'm going to really pursue something. And you've been testament to that, of pursuing your music, I love the difference that you have between, software engineering and then the creativity of music, like it's
almost polar opposites.
Yeah, almost. I mean, you need the creativity in the software engineering to like overcome doing problem solving and stuff, but it's so logical compared to like the creativity of music. And I think that makes you dangerous, dude, because when we get into like the business side of things, then you got the logical mind to deal with it, but then the creativity.
I've always loved it. Like even like simple things like Instagram algorithms. I used to be a boss on Instagram algorithms. Obviously they've changed it. Just stuff like when I was first like putting my name out there with music, it was back when Instagram's algorithms weren't as strict. Like they've got a lot of like stuff that they don't allow anymore. Whereas like back in the day, they used to, like, for example, this isn't like before music, I like ran like a small meme page, like a couple of small meme pages, just for the banter when I was in like year 10 or 11. And I was just like, I was like using like follow unfollow tactics, like messaging tactics, like all of these algorithm things. And I was getting on the explore page, and like my first ever meme page, I gained like, I think it was like 2,500 followers in like 7 days or something. But that's because of the old Instagram algorithm. But now you can't do that. I'm only on like 1.6k now on my Instagram. My old music Instagram, however, had like 12k before I ditched it because it was like shadow banned because of the old techniques I used to use on it. But I've always been into that sort of thing as well, and business and marketing sort of stuff. Not that I know a lot about it, but yeah, it's as well as music. I actually enjoy doing that stuff as well.
No, that's really cool, and it's something we actually spoke about on a podcast with Connor Pickin. So when we did the podcast with him, we were talking about that. And even our one a couple of weeks ago with chaotic media here locally, we were talking about that, of how actually having both sides to your business is really important. It's like, okay, you are naturally very, very creative and you can create great music, but then that's not very useful if you can't like market it, sell it, talk to the right people, so like having those soft skills on the side is so important as well.
You could make the best song in the entire world. Obviously music is subjective, or is it objective? Don't know which word, one of the two, but you can make the best song ever, like it could be a number one single wherever, and if you just upload that on Spotify, put it on an Instagram account, you put it on Apple Music, it's SoundCloud and all that, and you just leave it, no one's ever going to hear it. It's just going to disappear into a void. If you've got the right connections, my Alexa's beeping, if you got the right people, you know how to market it, you know how to turn intrigued people into fans and whatever. Like I've like listened to an audiobook about all of that, and I still need to listen to the rest of it, but it was really helpful. And like if you've got that side of it, like the social side, everything, it all just sort of merges together slowly and helps you sort of grow. Whereas if you've got one and not the other, you're not going to do great, unfortunately, which is just the way the cookie crumbles.
What was the name of that audiobook?
It's called a 4D songwriter, or like how to be a 4D songwriter. So this guy called Jason from Australia, and he's been in bands and he's done quite well with bands and stuff. And it's all about the 4 dimensions of being a being in the music industry, basically. So like and obviously, you know how dimensions, they get more complex as you go into them. So like if 1D and 2D are really simple, then 3D and 4D get a little bit, this is where it all sort of kicks off. It's basically about that. So like your two-dimensional stuff and your one-dimensional stuff is good music, being a nice person, then the rest of it is like how you actually interact with fans, like your checkpoints in like social media and all of this to make people into fans and then into super fans or whatever. I don't think I've like studied it massively. I've just listened to the books. It was really interesting, but it's really helpful, and you sort of see that you could be the best person in any area of creativity, but without the right stuff behind it, you're screwed, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's so important. I can't wait to hear about some of the stuff that, like, people that are getting behind you and stuff on your journey. But that'll be in a little moment's time. But I want to dig into kind of the background of your music and like kind of where that passion began, like all of those kind of things. So when was like the first time that you picked up a guitar, or like when did you first really start getting into music?
So it was like, so I used to live at still in the same town, but I used to live at a different house. And my next door neighbor, because my parents are really, really non-musical people, and nobody in my family really is very musical. And my next door neighbor just played the guitar as like a hobby. He was just always like strumming along. And we was really close with our next door neighbors. And we'd go around and he'd have like a strum, a sing song, whatever. And then I eventually, when don't know the exact age, but 8 or 9, that sort of age. Excuse me. Sorry. I sort of said to him, like, I want to learn the guitar. Basically, it looks cool. I want to play it. I want to be able to sing. Blah blah blah. So he just slowly taught me how to play the guitar. But as like a 9 or 10-year-old, whatever, you lose interest in things really quick. I know I did anyway. So I learned it for a bit. I had a few guitar lessons. I learned the bass, like the basic, like 4 chords, strumming, and that was it. And then I sort of dropped it for a while, and didn't really think much of it until I was about 13 or 14. Again, it was a good 4 years or whatever. But then I started, because after that I wanted to be an actor, because I started secondary school. I started doing drama, and like I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like I want to be like an actor or whatever. And I remember it started. I got into a musical theatre group by accident, essentially, because my mum and dad threw like a house party, and the lady who's like 4 doors down from us, she came. It was like everyone on the street sort of thing in our back garden, way before coronavirus, of course. And she got really drunk, started dancing and singing on the table, and I was talking to her because I was like 11 or 12 and just wanted to talk to this funny lady who's dancing on a table. And she was asking, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to be an actor. I want to do acting. And she's like, no way. I go to this acting group, and there's a youth group, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, awesome, sign me up. So I signed myself up for it. I got in. And then the first show that I go to, bear in mind that like music was not an interest in mine at this time. I got there, and like the first show we ever did was a showcase of just songs and dance. And I was like, I was in no acting scenes, whatsoever. And I was like, okay, this is cool. People are nice. I did it, and I bloody loved it. Like I loved the dancing, I loved the singing. And then I stayed, and I'm still technically part of that group. It's been put on pause at the moment because of Corona, but I'm still part of that group now. So I've done like 11 shows with them. Some of them have got a lot of acting. Some of them have got just singing. Like there've been many shows. And like my third show, I was played Oliver in Oliver Twist. So that was cool. So that's where like the music.
I played the Artful Dodger in Oliver Twist when I was a kid. Yeah. You have to have the accent. Oh my god, I spent so long learning it.
Jesus, yeah, I just had to be sweet and innocent, so I had to put on a show, yeah. But yeah, no, that's where like the singing first became a thing with me, was like through that, because the second show there was more acting and there was a little bit less. There was still singing, so it was musical theatre or whatever. And that's where the singing became a thing, because I actually enjoyed it. Like, I've realized I enjoyed it. So eventually I started picking up my guitar. This one up here, if you can see that was my first guitar that I had when I stopped playing guitar. And I just dusted it off, retuned it, and I just started doing the basics again. And for a solid like 3 or 4 years, I was just learning every single day. Like, I'm no like god or anything. I was just learning songs. I wasn't learning like scales or like what's it called, like when you like mash guitar. No, it's not mashing, it's where they're just like etc. Like, anyway, I can't think about it. It'll come back to me. But yeah, I can't do any of that stuff. It's really basic still, like not too basic. I can do more, but I just practice every night singing. I've got old videos of me like 2, 3, 4 years ago singing, and like I've seen the improvement by just practicing all the time. And then eventually that sort of turned into releasing my first song, like actually properly recorded in my bedroom, just with a microphone. Like it was my old Blue Snowball microphone, and I'd released that the day that I left year 11. So when I was 16, and then it just started going up from there. So that was like the journey into it, basically.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's amazing. And what was your first? Is that still out now?
Oh no, it was up about 3 weeks ago until I took them all down, because I was having a talk with my mentor, and he was just like, "Tell me about your music that's like still up there." And he made a very good point. I was like, "Oh yeah, so only my good new songs and some older songs are on Spotify, Apple Music, but like SoundCloud is just full of everything." There was over 100 songs, because I was just releasing them whenever I wanted to, like back when I started. And he was like, it's going to be difficult, but you've got to archive all of them, get rid of the ones that you don't want people to judge you on, basically. Because he said, imagine you're like somebody who's stumbled across your account and you press shuffle and you're getting a 2-year-old song that, because like my old music was more like emo trap. Like it was like, because I listened to a lot of Lil Peep and Juice WRLD and all of that. It was that inspired, whereas now it's more indie and pop rock kind of stuff. So I went through and erased all them, but that song is called Taking Pictures. I'll send it to you later if you want to have a listen, compare, because the quality and just everything is just the sound's so different. It's so cool, because I talk to my friends about my old songs quite a bit, and they go, obviously my album's called Bedroom, so like, my album's made in my bedroom, but they say, well, this could be recorded in a studio, like you wouldn't tell the difference. Whereas my old songs, you listen to them and they're like, yeah, this is definitely made in a bedroom with a crappy microphone, some like 16-year-old kid mumbling into a microphone sort of thing. So yeah.
Wow, yeah, I see. And okay, so that was like when you were 16 and stuff, but when did you really start to get into the kind of niche that you're in with your music now? When did that start becoming really relevant to you?
Well, I started listening to the sort of stuff that I'm in, like making now, about like a year ago, because I went to a couple of festivals, and like about a year ago, I was mainly listening to like American trap music, and like never listened to pop, because I was one of them like alt kids that was like, how you listen to Top of the Pops, get some uniqueness to all of that. But for the record, I don't care what you listen to. It's like, do you, I guess, like I do me, you do you. But yeah, I never listened to any sort of pop. It was all like underground stuff. And then I started listening to sort of more indie stuff when I started going to festivals. I went to a festival called Why Not Festival last year, which was my first ever festival. It was awesome. And I stumbled across so many bands I've never heard of. They were big. I just started like, saw them live for the first time. So like Easy Life and like Don Broco, which is the more rock, and Two Door Cinema Club, and like these more indie type bands. And I was like, this is awesome. Like this is like a good sound. It's not, I don't know. It's just more, this is debatable, but I think there's more talent and there's more appreciation behind a live singer singing with a band, or like indie sort of music, rather than like massively auto-tuned trap beats, which is very debatable. Some people be like, oh, you need talent to rap, blah, 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 which is true. But I just saw it as like, wow, that's what I want to be able to do. So I started making songs like that. And this time I was in my right mind to make these sort of songs but not release them until I thought it was up to scratch. And then it was probably about 6 months ago I started releasing more indie-ish songs, and then it just sort of grew into my sound a bit more what I enjoyed to make and listen to.
Yeah, and you definitely have a unique sound now. That was one of the first things that came across to me. It's like, yeah, this guy has like, it's for me. You have a sound that's like, you're alternative. You're different from a lot of other people, but you sit in the category really, really nicely. It's like, yeah. That is, that's indie. That's kind of alternative. I love that kind of that sound. But then you have your own unique style within that, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, man. Like the people say like. And before I say this, I'm not saying that I'm some sort of next level person, but they say like, they talk about Little Peep, saying like Little Peep was so unique because people that are unique, like and big, like Little Peep and even like Michael Jackson and the Beatles and stuff. But like, let's use Little Peep for example. He took rock and he took rap and he just sort of merged that and a couple of others, and like it just became its own unique sound. So like the first, like, I don't think they even have a name for it. You can't really put a genre on it because it's just so many mixed into two. And I think the fact that I found my sound by starting on X genre and finishing on Y genre, there's still like hints of this and there's still hints of that, and it all sort of mixed into one, which I think gives it that uniqueness, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely agree with that. Definitely agree. And so that's interesting. Let's talk a little bit about some of the inspirations that you've had over that time. So you said, you initially like Little People around that area, and then you started at the festival. You found these couple of other bands. Did they become your inspiration, or who have been some like real inspirations along the way?
One inspiration, like, and it's like he's my favorite artist. I'm wearing this shirt right now. It's called Soft Heart. This is like a one of one, like handmade. Hold on, I'll see if I can do that without flashing. It says like this product is a one of one, handmade and designed by Soft Heart. So repping. But his name's Soft Heart. He's not like a massive artist or anything, but if anyone's listening, go check him out because he's amazing. He's sort of like rap singing. So like people say that like Juice WRLD, who I also listen to a lot to, he's like rap singing. But Soft Heart, he was so open with lyrics. Like he was talking about mental health. He was talking about like how like he talked a lot about drugs, but in the way how it like messed with him and like it was bad, like literally everything. And I started listening to him a couple of years ago when I was going through a bad sort of state of mind, and I was going through like the shitter mentally basically, and it just resonated with me, and it sort of gave me an idea that you can be honest in songs. You don't have to pretend that you're into like money and cars and clothes, etc. You can sing about whatever you want, and that's why when I started making music, it was very sort of honest and open. Obviously, I've got a few songs which are just like feel good songs and like whatever, but a lot of them, if you listen to the lyrics, they all have a deeper meaning or they all have a story to tell, and that's where I got that's part of my music from, because I don't know, he's just such a big sort of part of my like mental health journey, having that music and then having my music as my form of expression like he had his. So there was that, and then things like Lil Peep was just awesome. I just love Lil Peep. Juice WRLD was really good. Like I saw him live at Leeds Festival. He wasn't that good live, but rest in peace anyway. But his music's cool. I listened to a lot of Queen when I was younger, actually, because my parents played it in the car all the time. And just every single artist that I ever listened to and liked has sort of put something into maybe my subconscious to like as a part of inspiration. But yeah, like you said, the bands that I listened to at Why Not Festival, like Easy Life, were a big one for me. I listened to them for the first time live, as in like I've never heard of them, listened to them. Then I went to 4 gigs of theirs after in the next 6 months. I was like, these guys are sick. They were so good.
Amazing. Yeah. That's the reaction people will have when they hear your music.
Oh, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, yeah.
Hopefully at a live event soon, hopefully. Yeah, I'll tell you a band you should check out. It's a band called, I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they're called Sticky Fingers. And they're
I've not listened to them, I've heard of them. One of my close friends really likes Sticky Fingers. A couple of my close mates really like them.
They're good. And that was, we were talking about that like kind of amalgamation of different styles. They're like a rock reggae. It's like it's
Oh,
weird.
that's
It
cool.
shouldn't go, but it goes so well, like
But
so
it
well.
does,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Yeah, that's awesome.
when you're in a chilled mood and you just wanna, yeah, definitely,
Just vibe out, bro. Just vibe
exactly,
out.
exactly. But yeah, yeah, awesome.
Excuse me.
So the final thing I want to ask, kind of on background, to getting you to where you are now, is your role of your family and your parents kind of in this. You know, they seem super supportive of everything you did, particularly when you were dropping out and things like that. So what has been the role of your family, and like how have they played a part in your journey so far?
Um, well, they've always been really, really supportive, which is really good. Like, um, it just in general with music more recently and work and school and whatever, they've always been really supportive. They've always wanted me to just do well and be happy. Like that's the main thing. It's not like, oh, got to go to uni, you've got to do this, you've got to do this, blah blah blah. It's always been be happy but be successful. Like if you're successful and not happy, you're not successful, sort of thing. And I think that's true. And if you're happy and unsuccessful, that's like obviously it's not great, but it's better than like not being happy at all. Do you know what I mean? So they with school, when I was saying to them I've got to drop out, like I'm in a bad place, like I can't, I'm so far behind, etc. etc. They were like, okay, like if you genuinely think that's the best thing for you, they gave me that option. If you genuinely think that's the best thing for you, we support you fully on it, but we're not going to let you sort of waste your life, basically. And I didn't want to anyway. I wanted to go on and do other things. I knew that I was like, oh, I want to do an apprenticeship and then do music as a hobby alongside it and all of this. But they helped me like get that motivation because of the headspace and the mental state that I was in at the time. I needed that push. So they pushed me to like get some applications done today, like go to this interview and like just help me through that, which was really, really good. And when it's with the music side of things, just saying that they were really happy when I got the job, and like they've always been supportive of me and my job, that they're so glad that I really enjoy it. But on the music side of things, I remember when I was first making music, I like wanted to hide it from my parents. So to know, I was just a bit like a bit awkward about it because it's like, oh, I'm singing songs about my head, like what's going on in my head, and it's just a bit open. And like right now, I'm really open with my parents about everything. Like they're really sound. But I was like hiding, and I hid it for like 3 months until I had a song that like blew up a little bit, and it was like people really liked it or whatever. And my mate Charlie showed it his mum, and my mum and his mum were really close mates. And his mum was like, "Oh, have you heard Joe's new song?" And my mum was like, "What song?" Like he does music. So my mum asked me about it, and I showed her it. But I've soon realised that what's the point in if you're ever gonna do something that you want to do as a living or as a hobby, don't hide it, because if you want to do well, everyone's got to know about it. You've got to put yourself out there. So like that was a learning curve for me. Obviously my older songs were a bit crap, so they were like, oh, yeah, that's good, I guess. But like more recently, like my mum streams my album like 24/7. She's getting them views up so much because she actually genuinely likes it, and I'm like so gassed about that. So
Awesome.
so
That's so
yeah.
cool. Yeah, and I think it's so important. Like that struck me about your family when we first met and we had that conversation, is the fact that they did literally support you on whatever journey you
Yeah.
had, whether that be the music, whether that be the job, the software engineering, like whatever that is. They've helped you, which is so cool. I think it's such an important part of, but especially for a lot of US kids I know over here. You know, there's
Yeah.
such a focus on college, getting your degree, and then going and finding that nice corporate job. Which, you know, there are plenty of nice corporate jobs around here. It gives you a
Yeah.
very nice lifestyle. You can live comfortably and be happy in some ways. But for a lot of people as well that are going through that system, it's just they're just doing it because
It's the way to go. Yeah. And you want to be able to reach your full potential as well. Like I believe that my full potential, and at the same time, I'll add something on at the end of this, what I say, but I believe that my full potential would be focusing on music and just doing what I love. That would be the peak of like my potential, just doing that like till the day I die, whatever. But at the same time, I think I talked to you about this the first time we spoke, is I don't want to be that guy who's 35 living in like my parents' house saying, "Oh, the music stuff will kick off one day." Like it's going to blow up one day. Like I said, I've always got to have the opportunities and paths to make ends meet at least. Well, like, you know what I mean? You can't just sort of not leech, but you can't just depend on one thing. If it's not working out, you've got to look at different paths and reach your full potential elsewhere if that's not going right, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And like you're saying, with your job, that gives you the opportunity to have the independence and then still do the music. But yeah, that's exactly it, you know. And I mean, you're making huge moves with the music anyway. You're doing great stuff with that. So one day I hope, I know in some senses that you're going to get to that point where there'll be that dividing path. It's like, right, I can continue the music and just focus all my life and time on that, or I can do the job. But it gets to the point where you're going to have to choose one.
It's the thing that we spoke about before. Obviously, I can't say it now, but like that's a possibility in the next like 6 to 12 months that could be like splitting off or whatever. And talking about that, and if I come on a podcast again and this falls through or it goes through, we could talk about it again. Going back to my parents being supportive, my mum was like my little mini manager. Like she was like sat me down, she was talking about work and music, and she was just going through all of like the pros and cons of everything and like being so supportive about it. And like obviously I had Guy, my mentor, on the phone talking about it. He's saying, yeah, brilliant opportunity. But like at the same time, my mum and dad like know everything about it, and they're not as knowledgeable as me on the music industry, and I'm not as knowledgeable as Guy, but they're still supportive and everything. They trust me and Guy's sort of like instinct on things like that. So
and they seem to really have your best interests at heart, which is, you know, a great asset to have, for sure. Awesome. Well, I think that kind of wraps things up for like background of things and what's got you to where you are now. And let's move on to the present of where your music's at, like what you've been doing. And the first thing I want to start with is your amazing victory with the Prospect 100 competition. So let's just quickly, I'll give a little. So Prospect 100 is really out there, just making some huge moves for the Gen Z. Their events are crazy. So Prospect 100 is a platform which does a bunch of different events targeted at kind of the Gen Z generation. The one that Joe did was a global music competition with, I think they had like 1,000 entries or something like that. It was crazy.
I was talking to Harry and he was saying that it was something like 4,000 or 5,000. Like
that was it. Yeah.
It was ridiculous amount.
It was. It was like 4,000 or 5,000 entries. Top 3 were guaranteed mentorship. And then Joe is the number one and won that mentorship, which is awesome. But yeah, they run a bunch of different events. You can find them just with prospect100.co.uk online. And I would definitely go and check them out. Right now, they've got a tech competition going on. And the judge of that is Steve Wozniak.
Is he the Apple guy? Yeah, my dad follows. I still follow Prospect 100 because they've done bits for me recently. But my dad also follows them, and he was like looking at their new competition. He's like, "Wow, that's cool." And then he saw, is it Steve Wozniak? Is it? And my dad thought he looked at it and he was like, "Jay, Steve Wozniak, is that the Apple dude?" I was like, "I think so." And he was like, "Is he the guy that like sold his shares for like $10 and now he's just like a normal guy?" And I was like, don't think so. So we searched him and it's like net worth's like a couple of trillion or something. Or it's like, no, but it's ridiculous. So they got some big people, and they had some big people with the music one as well. Like they've got the connections to do well for the people that deserve it. And I'm not saying, oh, look at me, I deserve it. But you know what I mean? Like they've got this connection, and anybody can enter, who's got that potential can win or get themselves out there through them, and it's all free. Like they're doing it like off their own backs to help and support. Like it's such a good sort of thing they've got going on.
Oh, 100%. If you enter and you try and take part, it's a win-win regardless, because you're going to take part, you're going to develop skills that you wouldn't have otherwise. And if you get the victory, or you come top 3, or you do well in it, you're one, going to get noticed by people, and 2, you're going to get some awesome prize that they set up, because they set up some freaking amazing prizes as well.
Like the reason that I entered was that there was nothing to lose at all. Like like somebody just sent me I followed them on Instagram anyway. Somebody sent it, was like, bro, just like enter, you got to just put a song in, bit about yourself. I was like, all right, fine. There's what the worst that's going to happen is I don't get nominated, like, and then it's just end of, like, you know what I mean? And obviously it didn't go that way, and the journey through like that was so like amazing. Just it was the things like, oh, the bassist to the Kaiser Chiefs has picked your song to be in the top 20. I was like, whoa, that's awesome. Like, it was such a big thing. Like, the bassist of the Kaiser Chiefs, I've got a video on my phone of him saying Exon is my favorite one of this, and I was like, no way, that's sick.
That's amazing. Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about that experience, actually, because I haven't heard from kind of your perspective of what that was like, from kind of entering to then winning, you know?
Like, it started with like the guy, a couple of people just sent me this thing, and it's like, bro, just enter, like, you've got a new single. Still Frames is the song that I entered. That just came out as it came out. No, actually, the enter, like, it opened like as I put my song onto my distributor, which meant it was coming out in 2 weeks. People could pre-save it, so I was like, well, the competition doesn't officially like they don't go to the next stage until my song comes out, whatever. So I was like, just submitted it. I was like, yeah, typed a bit about myself, didn't really think anything of it, and then
someone else's eyes. Never live a day just to see the night. Never walk away to leave your side. Now you feel the darkness creeping in. Memories appear from deep within. Open camera roll, where to begin? Still frames of the video, still hear your name. I was pretty low, still frames of the video, still hear your name from that video. Those were better days, way less complicated. Parties and getting drunk, we're intoxicated. Never like throwing up, but we tolerate it. Borderline alcoholic, but we moderate it. Take another shot, but one more. Running upstairs into a door. Two bodies on a mattress, clothes on the floor. Thinking by now, life's been there before. Still frames of the video, still hear your name. I was pretty low, still frames of the video, still hear your name from that video. I feel it's never getting better, and it's only getting worse. Write a stupid love letter.
I got the song came out. It did reasonably well. Like, a lot of people quite liked it because it was quite different to my old stuff, and it was quite different to my album, but still in a way where it was similar. So it was quite a nice song. It did all right. People really liked it. And then I got an email and was like, oh, you've been selected as the top 20. And I was like, no way, like, no way. And I got a message from Harry, who's the guy that runs Prospect 100, and he was talking about it. And he was like, yeah, so the guy that selected you to be in the top 20 was the bassist of the Kaiser Chiefs. And I was like, that's mad. Like, my dad loves, well, not loves, but he knows of and like listens to the Kaiser Chiefs, and like it's a big name in the music industry, Kaiser Chiefs. And I got sent the video of him saying, yeah, you've my favorite one to go in the top 20. So that was a big thing. Like, just that, if I would have been happy with just that, the fact that he knows my name and like enjoyed my song, that was awesome. Like, I was so gassed about that. And then I was told by Harry that it's going to a top 20 vote, and I was like, okay, there's some other big people in here. If it's just a thing of like sending a link round or putting one link on your story and just seeing how it goes, or it's like on their website, I was like, yeah, it's going to be difficult. But then I got an email basically saying, so it's on Instagram, and you need to sort of show your marketing skills, in the sense you need to get people to interact with your post and like on it. The likes will votes, and comments just obviously help with the algorithm and stuff. And I was like, sick. Like, I did this with my meme page. I did this with my old account. I can get people to like it. I've got the networking skills to do that. So I was like putting it on my story every day for the 7 days that the vote went on. I was sending it to my parents, who sent it to their friends, who sent it to their friends. My friends were putting it on their stories and sending it to people. And it just, over time, that sort of just grew and grew and grew. Like, people liking it. And it reached like 2,400 likes in the end or something, somewhere around there, which is awesome. The guy who won was like 3,000, like the vote. He won the votes because it was top five votes, and then they like chose. So I think for the entirety of the voting, I was second, and then I went first one time, and then I dropped back down to second, and then I went to sleep, stupidly enough, on the night of the thing, and I dropped down to fourth in the voting. And I woke up in the morning. I got a message saying, "Congratulations, you're fourth place." I was like, "Yo, that was a close one." Like, that was I could have been knocked down there, but yeah, I was in the top five. And then all of the songs and artists got sent off to Guy Holmes, who, if you don't know anybody listening, he's this big guy in the music industry. Just give his name a Google search. He's worked with like Duran Duran, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, like Tom Jones, like these massive, massive people. And he listened to all the songs and selected his top one. And the way that I found out wasn't like a message or an email, "Congratulations, you won." It was Harry actually messaged me, and he was like, "Oh, bro, we're just gonna before we released the winner on Friday," it was like a Tuesday evening, he was like, "Will you be able to hop on a Zoom call? We just want to talk you through some of the next steps, blah, blah, blah." So I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." So he was just asking me questions about myself. And then he just goes, "Yeah, sorry, bro, we lied to you. The reason you're hopping on this call is because you've won." And I was just like sat there on the Zoom call, just like, "Yo, wait, what? Are you messing with me?" Like, and I was like, so like starstruck at the time. I was like, I still am about it, but like it just came out of the blue on a Zoom call, which was awesome. And then obviously I won the mentorship from Guy, who was the guy was the guy who chose me. And yeah, since then he's been my mentor. I've not met him yet because of coronavirus. We're probably going to meet in the next couple of months or whatever, just go for like a coffee just so we can talk and get to know each other and stuff. But he's been there for me and like supported me and give me advice and opinions on songs. Like Harry was saying that he was originally supposed to just give me 30 minutes of his time a month, but he's given me so much more. Like, if I need him, I message him and he gives me a ring. We talk like whenever I need it. So he's so good. And it's gave me so much insight on the music industry and on my own music as well, from like a professional's opinion, you know what I mean?
That's huge. And I mean, if that's not a big enough of an advertisement for people to go and sign up to Prospect 100, I don't know what it is.
It's insane. Like, they're so good.
That's amazing. But what an experience. That's crazy. That's crazy. And so
happening during lockdown as well. It's all happening in my bedroom, and I'm just sitting on my phone like, whoa.
Exactly, you're making an opportunity out of something that's potentially super negative. So that's dope. That's dope. Awesome. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to bring up your music on Spotify. Give me 1 second. And we're going to talk through some of the I want to talk about like kind of some of the inspiration behind some of the songs, like some of the stories behind it.
Yeah, man, that'd be sick. Yeah,
I just want to like, because you've told me a couple of those, and I was like, dude, there's no way you wrote that in that amount of time and stuff. So I want to definitely go over some of those stories real quick.
Yeah, some of the songs are like, I told you about Antisocial, where I just was like 2 glasses of wine down with my mate in my room, and I was just like, bro, 1 sec, I'm just gonna write a song. Like 10 minutes in, I was like, song wrote. I was like, it was so quick, and my mate was just sat there with his hands on his head like, how do you do that? like I don't know, it just sort of came to me in the moment, I guess.
Oh, before we, I'm just loading it up now, so just while I do that, tell us the message behind the name Exin.
Oh, Exin, yeah. So basically, I've explained this before, and like for a long time it was a secret, and then I just like, well, I feel like people should know, so I put it on my Instagram story. I never made like an actual post about it, so it isn't a thing that's like constantly there. But basically, Exin means I can never pronounce it. It's really bad. It's my own name. It's like examinus invidious or something in Latin. So it's like an abbreviation of that Latin term, which means depression. Because when I first started making music, I viewed it, and I still do view it, as a form of expression and a thing that puts me in the right mindset. Like when you sing into a microphone and you're like listening to music, for me, it just makes me not think about anything else that's going on in my head. So I was just, so it was also almost like, because I started on SoundCloud, it's also my discography. Is that what it's called? Discography, whatever. It was like my journal of like what I was going through, my expression. You're just not going to think, oh, it's Latin for this, because A, people don't know Latin, and B, it's not a thing that you sort of come to mind straight away.
But hey, some great marketability there.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, it was good. I had an engaged audience at that time when nobody knew what it meant.
Yeah, I bet.
On Apple Music, it's just EXIN. There's no dot on Apple Music, because my distributor, when I first made the name, I didn't realize that like Apple Music because some distributors, right, you can have whatever name for song titles, etc., and your artist name. But through DistroKid, who I use, who are great, like I love DistroKid, they're so good. They have very strict guidelines because they don't want to be taken down, etc. So I typed in ex.in, full capital letters, and it just did this. So we vibe with it now.
There we go. Yeah, I mean, it's perfect. Awesome. So here he is. If you want to find him on Apple Music, and you can look at these all added to my playlists. So yeah, let's go through some of these. So obviously you've got Bedroom, which is the album, which was written in your bedroom and produced in your bedroom, which is sick. And then Steel Frames, which is the most recent, I want to say, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. And so yeah, let's just go through some of these. So talk us through firstly the album of Bedroom. If
you click on the album, I'll go through like some of the songs and like what they mean and stuff if you want. So obviously I wrote the album, started in about November of 2019, and I released it in March. Literally, it was like either a day before or a day after the UK lockdown started. So never been able to perform any of these songs live. Well, I've performed a few of them live, but so Antisocial, the top one, that was the one that I just wrote in my bedroom with my mate there, just in like 10 minutes, just banged it out like a couple of bevs, and I just sat there and I just wrote it. So that's that one. Spending Nights, that's like a deep one. That's like it's about one of my friends that like who went through a really crap time, and I care for like so much, and I was just so like worried about them. And then like some of them are like too deep to talk about, so, but yeah, but like that one's got like a really big meaning.
Thinking about you, girl. Thinking about what's next. Thinking what's new, girl. I'm perplexed. I never thought I'd never want to say I love you, girl. Spending all my nights thinking about you, girl. Thinking about what's next. Thinking what's new, girl. I'm perplexed. I never thought I'd never want to say I love you, girl. I've been growing. I've been fine. I've been just living my life.
Meaning Brighter Days, though, I really, really like that song because of the meaning behind it. Brighter Days, like the main lyric of Brighter Days is, yes, I've seen brighter days, but I've seen worse than this before.
Yes, I've seen brighter days, but I've seen worse than this before. Do I write another love song? Or do I talk about my mind? Do I write another love song? Or do I pretend that I'm alright? 'Cause this music to me is a form of expression, and I know it's cliche, but my name is depression.
And it was my perspective on like my mental health, just life in general. If you're going through a crap time, you've more than likely seen worse before. Like you've had worse days, you've had worse experiences, so just be grateful for what you've got. And like know that things are always going to get better, and if they do get worse, it can still get better. Like that's the whole sort of meaning behind that. Like that song, I remember.
I love Brighter Days. I put that on in the morning,
thanks,
dude.
man.
It's like in the morning on my way to work and stuff. That's the
And like I remember like that was one of the first songs I wrote and recorded after Antisocial for the album, like in my little storage pot ready to go into the album or whatever. And during that time I was having a bit of a crap time mentally, and I'd go for drives with my mate and we'd play that song because he really liked listening to my music, and I'd be like, yo bro, listen to this song that I made. And like we've both been through stuff in our lives which like not been great and whatever, and we just both just enjoyed, not even just because it was my song, we both enjoyed listening to the lyrics, and it was just such a good like motivator to sort of like, I don't know, accept mental health but also improve and realize that this stuff that goes on in your head doesn't last forever, almost like it's gonna get better sort of thing.
Yes, I've seen brighter days, but I've seen worse than this before. Yes, I've been fighting late at night, so I don't suffer anymore in my day-to-day activities and the games that we play. That game we call life, we play it, die and fade away.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it's really interesting what you just said about spending nights. I think for me, Brighter Days, I mean, those top three are just sick, but Spending Nights is probably one of the top for me on that album. But the fact that there's like so much emotion that goes behind it, like it's one of the biggest things that I've heard from a lot of artists in both music and then just in general artists as well, is that, you know, from so much like pain and a lot of emotion as well, you can create some of the best work that you'll ever create, like period.
It's the thing is about music and any sort of art form is you can, but you shouldn't filter it, because people that listen to your music can subconsciously tell when something's filtered or fake. So if you write a song, like if I wrote a song about I don't know, just some random thing that happened that never actually happened, and it's fake emotion, it's fake like story, blah blah blah, it could be an amazing sounding song, people will like it, but there's that sort of subconscious where people like that honesty isn't coming through to them, that truth isn't coming through to them, and they don't like it as much. Whereas songs that you're completely unfiltered, completely honest, you're talking about real stuff that's gone on, it helps you be able to write. Like I wrote these songs just typing away, listening to the music, typing away, and it just sort of came to me. But also people appreciate it more, and they probably don't consciously like, oh yeah, I can tell this guy's been through stuff, but it just gets through to them better when there's no filters and it's just all raw emotion and like raw stuff. Like definitely helps like being able to do that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Is there any others you want to particularly touch on? Any cool stories behind any of these other songs?
Feel Alive, that's more of a funky one. I just wrote that when I was in a really good mood. So this goes, I just feel alive, like etc. I wrote that song when I was in a really good mood, and there's the local radio station around here is called it's BBC Radio Derby, Nottingham, Leicester, and they have a thing called BBC Introducing, where you can send a song in and they'll listen to it, and if they like it, they play it on the introducing section, like in the day. And Antisocial has been on the radio before, like just played once on the thingy. Feel Alive, however, it got played on it, and Dean, who's the host of the show, he listened to that song and he's like, he said this live on the radio, like he wasn't saying it to me, he was saying it to everyone listening. He was like, oh, Exin, another really good song, like blah blah blah, and he's like, really want to get you on and stuff, like to talk in the studio. So hopefully one day he's going to get me on when I submit another song and can have a chat with him. But also, he, out of like the 20, 30 or 40 songs that he played in that section of the radio, he decided to make it the track of the week, BBC Introducing track of the week, and that meant that it got played 3 more times on the radio during the week with other radio stations like BBC Radio Nottingham, Derby, Leicester, and it just sort of, just everyone really liked that song, and the radio guys liked that song. Like it was played like multiple times. It was just so surreal, because like I had Antisocial played on the radio, and I was like, yo, this is cool. And then the fact that it was played on the radio praised so highly, and then it was played again and again and again. I was like, yo, that's so cool. Like,
I just feel alive. I just feel alive. I've been up all night, watching as the sky comes falling down. I be walking around again, look at myself, but y'all look at me now. I left it on me on the shelf, now I'm hitting the town. I met a cute little gal, she busting it down. I be walking around again, look at myself, but y'all look at me now. I left it on me on the shelf, now I'm hitting the town. I met a cute little gal, she busting it down. Hey, I don't like you,
like, so cool. Yeah, it was awesome. So yeah, but I don't know. I just really like that album, and like not as a listening point of view. I just like it because like it's my album, and that's like a big thing. Gotta like your album. And going back to that audiobook I was listening to, the 4D Songwriter, is albums are like this thing that establishes you as an artist, I guess. So when you release an album, you're, oh, they've got an album, you know what I mean? Like it just sort of puts you out there a little bit more, rather than just having singles and EPs. But they also say if you have an album that establishes you as an artist and it's absolute trash, no one's gonna they're gonna listen to it like, oh, it's got an album, but it's whack. And you can't really delete albums. Like you can, but you shouldn't. There's like an unwritten rule, like an album stays with you as an artist for life, sort of thing. And I listened back to it and I was like, I'm happy. Even if one day I record much better songs and much more highly professionally recorded songs and blah, 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 I look back on this and always think this is where I started, like, making my good music. This is where I started, like, being really raw and, like, emotion and stuff. So, like, I'm happy with that album. Like, really happy with the album.
That's amazing. Yeah, you're starting out and you found something that you're proud of your starting point. You know, that's such an awesome point to be at. Yeah, I mean, all of these songs are so good. I've listened to every single one, and Still Frames is good. This is the one you won the competition with, right?
Yeah, man.
So, yeah, just checking. And some of your album covers. I want to talk to people behind some of these because it's just I didn't believe it. So with Still Frames, when I saw that cover, I was like, dude, that's dope. Like that was taken on like a professional camera, and like someone played with it on like Photoshop or something. But tell us the story behind that picture.
So the story behind that picture is like, I think sometimes I'm a little bit of a vain bastard. Like I like taking pictures of myself and putting them on Instagram, whatever. Like I'm not like, oh, look at me, I'm so hot or so attractive, whatever. Like, but like I like taking pictures of myself. So basically what I did, I got my iPhone 11. I've got a little beer fridge in the corner of my room, and as you can see, I've got a purple backdrop on my purple painted walls. So I put my phone on my windowsill. I sat on my beer fridge. I put a timer on, and I just took about 20 photos until one of them I thought looked all right. And then I looked at it, and I was like, oh, that's a cool photo. The lighting was really, really good. Like it looked like it was, like you said, taken on a professional camera, and it had this purple backdrop. I was like, that's really sick. Like, that's cool. And then my girlfriend told me about this app called Prequel, where it's like you can just have cool effects on it. So I just slapped it on the app, and I just, like, the first one I pressed split it up and like messed with the colors and like the transparency of everything. I was like, yo, that's sick. Like, that is so sick. That's a single cover. So I just slapped it on there. I was like, yeah, made that with an app and took it on my phone. Like, I need to change that actually, because I change my hair too much. So
yeah, tell us behind that. What's the story behind? I love your hair. It's sick.
I just change it all the time. It's so I've got, oh God, I can go through like my stages of hair color. Like I remember it was like 2 years ago in October, I was like, yeah, I want to change my hair like from the natural that it's always been. So I was like, slapped naturally like mousy brown sort of color. And one day I was like, I'm going to bleach it, just go blonde, like YOLO sort of thing. I left school, didn't have to worry about people that weren't very nice to me in school, like, etc. No, at this point, I was actually still in sixth form, but it wasn't like school environment, it was more like mature environment. So I was like, yeah, go for it. You're allowed to do whatever you want. So dyed it blonde. That was cool. I got bored of the blonde. So I was like, all right, I'm going to dye it pink. So I had like bright pink hair, like all over. Then I washed out, and then I dyed it blonde again. Then I went icy blonde. Then I went blue, and then I went blonde again, and then another different shade of blonde again. And then during lockdown, I was like, screw it, like I'm going black. Like I'm just going jet black hair. I want to look like Danny Phantom with like black hair, blue eyes. So I did and dyed it black. And then I got really bored really fast with the black hair, and I was like, let's Lil Peep vibes, dye half of it pink. So I stripped my hair out during lockdown. I just like strip my hair like with the hair stripper, which is like really bad for your hair. Bear in mind, the whole time that I've been dyeing my hair, my hair is just dyed. Like it's like there was this one when I dyed it blue. Actually, I had to not shave it all off, but go really, really short, like to the point where you can see my whole massive forehead because my hair was just so dead. Like it was grim. Like I put a comb through it and it would just get stuck and it would like rip my scalp off. But yeah, like I stripped it and dyed half of it pink, and that's come back to haunt me, dyeing it half pink, because when I got bored of the pink and the black, right, I dyed it again blonde, and the blonde, because one side was already bleached once and one side was black, when I dyed it blonde, one side came out really blonde and one side came out dark blonde, so I still had like a half and half blonde and blonde, right? So I was like, okay, I'd put more toner on it, nothing would work. So I was like, screw it, purple time. Slap purple in my hair, and if you can see on the Zoom call, that's dark purple and that's like lavender purple. Like there's two different colors, and like until my hair grows out and that bleached hair grows out, I'm gonna have like split hair, whatever color I go. So, but yeah, I just wanted to be different and quirky or whatever, so I just dyed my hair. So.
Well, when I first saw your when I had a look at your albums, like from your Instagram and stuff, I was like, whoa, this guy's going all in on that musician kind of lifestyle.
Somebody said to me, like, who like did stuff with music and knew people, whatever. He was like, oh yeah, you've got the look. Like, I can see that you've put the effort in for the look of the music. And I'm like, no, I'm just being myself. Like, I genuinely am being myself. Like, got a nose ring because I wanted to get a nose ring. I got my ears pierced because I wanted to get my ears pierced. I dye my hair because I want to do it. Like, that's how I want to look. There's nothing that's a completely separate part of the music. It helps, like dressing a certain way and looking a certain way helps in the music industry, but it was never my goal to be like, all right, if I'm going to be a musician, I'm going to look like one. It was never.
But that's what I think is the beauty of it, is the fact that like you never intended it to, but you being you and like doing you to such an extent makes you unique and like gives you a look. And it's like, and that's why like in the music industry, it's like, yeah, they have a look because they're being themselves, you know, they're being unique. Yeah, exactly. They're like, I want to wear these earrings or this hair or this clothing because that's me and that's what I support or that's what I enjoy, exactly. You know. And so that's it.
It goes back to the how I said like honest and like raw songs. It's the same. If you're putting on this persona of like hair and makeup and earrings and clothes that you genuinely dislike, people are just going to see straight through you like a glass window. Like you're never going to see the real you, and you're not going to make that connection with people like you want to make the connection when you release music and talk to people. Like you've got to be yourself in life, and especially in the music industry as well.
For sure, yeah. And at the end of the day as well, you being unique and portraying what's you, people are going to fall in love with you, not something else that's not you. You know?
Even though like Exin's the stage name, Exin isn't a character. Like he's not. Exin is. I would never refer to Exin as he is not a character, because Exin is me. Like it's not like Exin and then Joe. Like Exin is just what I go by on stage or releasing music. It's like it's never been a thing where it's like, oh, like when I had my first gig, it was never a thing where I'm like, oh, I need to put on this look, I need to put on like this character on stage or anything. I was just like, all right, Joe, let's do it, let's bang it out, let's be yourself and just have a good time. And that's what I did, and it was a really, really successful, good gig to have. Like it was so good.
No, I really admire that side of you, man. Like it's so amazing to see someone have that confidence, And like it's an inspiration, I think, for a lot of, particularly our generation, you know, that young generation coming through, is just to have that confidence and the fact that, yeah, you can have that confidence, and it doesn't matter how you look or the way in which you do things. It's like, that's you, and that's fine.
People appreciate you for that.
Exactly. And as long as you're trying to be you and be happy with it, then like no one can say anything about that, you know. And like from our perspective, it means like I can connect with you on this level, bring you on a podcast, and produce what has been and is an awesome podcast for people to listen to, because they really get to know you as an individual, and that's, you don't have to hide it, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you're saying, like our generation has like got this sort of stigma where you can't be yourself almost, and I think that, and it's been talked about a lot. Sorry, I just dropped something. It's talked about a lot, like, oh, social media like portrays like what you should look like and what you should do, X, Y, Z. Like, yeah, it's fair enough. Like, if you look like that, you might get more attention, but do you really want attention from something that like you're putting on? Like, I would never say when I started music and I started Xing, I was like, all right, I'm going to be this guy who sings and raps about like the things I don't believe in, like doing like loads of drugs and doing loads of like having sex with girls and blah blah blah, X, Y, Z, like and like just being really boastful and this big arrogant character. And people fell in love with that. Imagine if people just fell in love with that. How would that like settle on my conscience that every time that, say, if I got big, left the house, I had to put on this persona that was me, and it genuinely isn't. It's just not the way to go at all. So that's why, like, because you can't put on a front forever, and it's going to play on your mental health, and it's going to play on your mind, and it's going to affect your relationships with other people as well. If you,
and I mean, there's 7.5 billion people out there in the world, man. Some of them are going to like what you're doing if you get enough, exactly. if you get yourself out there enough, you know. And
I listen to some music, and I look at some people, and I go, well, like mainly music. I listen to music. I'm like, I really don't like this song. I really don't like this artist, X, Y, Z. But I can see why people do, because people have individual opinions. You've got to let people have their taste and style, and that's why I never sort of ever diss anyone for liking what they like, dressing how they like. You do you, like, you know what I mean? That's the easiest way to put it, is you do you, because I do me, so I can't knock people for like being themselves, I guess.
I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast the other day. It was Joe Rogan and Post Malone were on the podcast, and they were talking about like kind of, you know, a lot of what's talked about a lot nowadays is like with Instagram, Snapchat and stuff, is filters, right? People with different filters on, make themselves look pretty and stuff, and like that people think that's like a new development. But it was really funny. It's like how back in like the 18th century or something, how do we not know that the rich people that went and got the portraits, and like we knew this happened quite a lot, but how do they know that, like, oh yeah, make my arms look a bit bigger and make my chest look wider, or
like make my jawline a bit sharper and like stuff like that. Yeah,
they brought up some hilarious points. Is like maybe there was like a particular artist that like women would speak about. It was like, oh yeah, go to him and makes your ass look bigger. It's like like, how do we know that? It's like it's such a funny point. It's like, yeah, they're not wrong, you know. It's like and this exactly, and this idea of filter of how you look and how you portray yourself is not a new development. It's something that's been around for since the beginning of time. Because you care about how you are portrayed to people, and yes, you're not going to you're not going to share everything with someone you meet the first time, but being real and being you whenever you meet someone is going to give you the confidence to be successful in whatever you want to do, right? So
yeah, it's like this thing with the filter thing is like, this is like weird. I'm not going back on anything I've just said, but you always do put up a front when you talk to somebody. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, until you're like comfortable entirely with somebody, you put up a front. Like, you don't, like you said, you don't just spill out your guts about all your problems and like what you think about this thing and like politics, etc., etc., etc. That's not socially acceptable. But at the same time, you don't want that front to hide. It's more of like you can have, I believe that you can have healthy filters and unhealthy filters, because if you have an unhealthy filter, you've got this front where it's not you at all. If you've got a healthy filter, you've got this front where you're letting the parts out of you, like you're being yourself, but the stuff that shouldn't really be shared at the moment or shouldn't be talked about in that moment is like there. And people who have no filter at all are just annoying sometimes because they just blah, 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 blah. This is my opinion. Like, that's them. That's them. They're being them though. So.
But that's a great example is this podcast, you know. It's like we've been you have for me very healthy and natural filters in the sense that, you know, you're happy to talk about your experiences with Prospect 100 and your music and the fact that you did go through hard times, but we don't have to go into what those hard times were and what you went through, you know. It's like that's all part of those healthy filters and stuff. So no, I love it. All right, so before we wrap things up and before we finish things off, let's talk about future of where you're going with this stuff, what you're working on now, like what's in the pipeline for Exin and for where you're going.
For Exin, there's obviously I've got Guy mentoring me at the moment, and the thing that I'm really focusing on at the moment is making good music, like whether that's in the form of singles, EPs, album. I'm not decided yet in the next like 6-12 months what I want to do in the form of like projects to release, but at the moment I'm really because I've not released anything since March or April, I think. But I'm just focusing on sort of nailing my sound, and like I want to be able to, because I'm such a hypercritical person of my own work, which is a good thing but can sometimes be a bad thing. I want to be able to listen to my own music and not realize it's me, but sort of listen to it really comfortably, because sometimes I will listen to a song that I've released and people will just think that's just a song, it's a good song, whereas I will listen to it and I'll hear all the imperfections and I'll hear all of this. I want to be perfect to the point where I'm not wasting away my life trying to find the perfect sound. So I'm just trying to make good music and get this backlog of good music, and then once I've done that, we're going to town with some releases and singles and EPs and albums. We're just getting that sort of backlog at the moment. And that's what Guy has said. You need to be honest. You need to use your lyricism. Like he complimented my lyricism before. He says, just make music that sounds good and has meaning, and then we'll go from there. So that's what we're working on at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah. And that lyricism is your basis of just your solid music, man. Like, and your storytelling through that as well. Yeah. So I can hear exactly, like, you're just taking me through a whole journey. I love it. But yeah, no, that's exciting. I'm so, how can, that was one thing I was going to ask, how can people, like, you know, I follow you on the Instagram and stuff, so if you release a song, you're going to post it on there. So is that the best way people can find out, like, if you release something, or? Yeah.
So Instagram is at ex.in. I got my name back because my old account had my old name, and then I had to have Exin 2.0, and then it was a big faff changing it around. But I've got my name back. It's just at ex.in now. I'll post literally everything on there. I made a new Snapchat if people actually want to use Snapchat for that. It's snap.exin. But the Exin has got no dots. It's snap.exin. I've got Twitter, but I never post on there. So I just think Instagram, the best thing. Also, follow me on Spotify if you use Spotify. That helps a lot. And you're going to get notified whenever I release on there. But Instagram's the big one. I post on there. And if you're feeling kind, guys, turn the notifications on and you'll know when it comes out.
Exactly. No, exactly. I've got them turned on and everything because it's just good music. And yeah, we'll definitely bring Joe back on, you know, in the future, maybe like 6 months, a year down the line. And we can, once those projects have been going on, we can see how far you got with them, what's been happening with it, and what different directions you've taken. Definitely be great to see. But I've had an absolutely awesome time doing this podcast, man. It's been so much fun, and like we said, you shared so much, but kept those healthy filters on that information, and I love that, and I really appreciate you coming on and just sharing those experiences with us.
It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed it. Oh, and last thing, there might be a single coming out in the next month or 6 weeks. So yeah.
Oh yeah. We'll be straight on that. We'll share that straight on our page for sure. People can listen to that. But the one final question I wanted to ask you is, could you leave with a final message that you want to give our audience for them? Like, what do you want them to remember you as?
My finishing message would be like, be yourself, do stuff that makes you happy, but also think about the world that you live in as well. So that's very brief, but in life, do things that you make you happy. But the thing about like the world that you live in as well, you can't always be happy and live. You've got to sometimes make sacrifices, but make healthy sacrifices and make healthy decisions that will find the perfect balance of healthy and living perfectly balanced. I think that's my message. I think that's because if you're perfectly happy and perfectly able to live, like money wise, food wise, the relationships wise, if you've got that balance, whether it's like this or it's like a bit higher on the happy side, a bit happier on that, but if you've got that balance that you're happy with, you're going to live like a good life. And like, I've realized that finding that balance is so important, just for relationships, for music, just for anything. You can do anything once you find that balance, in my opinion. So yeah.
Amazing. No, I love that. What a great message to finish on. We're going to finish as we always do. Cheers for now.
Cheers for now. Just put that on the back.